Several years ago, when I belonged to the Diocese of Virginia, we decided to come up with an incredible mission trip. We decided to go to the DR for 3 weeks and do a summer camp, 3 separate camps, 1 week at a time, to help some of the unprivileged children of the DR and let them come and enjoy themselves for a week and get away from it all. But the Diocese of the DR, the Dominican Republic, they chose their students, just like we do here in our own diocese, and we got to choose the leaders. And so we chose the leaders among the youth programs throughout the Diocese of Virginia. In other words, what we were looking for were leaders. We were looking for kids who belonged to their youth group, and not only belonged to the youth group, but took active leadership roles in it. Not only the youth group, but we wanted kids who took leadership roles in their church, being an alcoholic. It's very important, being a reader. Also being a leader in the diocese, their EYCs, their camps, taking leadership positions. And because there were a lot of churches in the Diocese of Virginia, we ended up getting a stack of names. And we started our interview process until finally we had our team. And it was a great team. I was so proud of these kids, and I still am to this day. So what we decided to do is we told them what we're doing is having 3 separate camps 1 week at a time. But since they're leaders and they're very gifted, we wanted them to kind of design what was going to happen, and they did. They came up with the games, they came up with the meals, they came up with the art project, the drama, the singing, the Bible studies. And they were and for 3 months. They not only designed it, but we practiced it and made sure that we had everything taken care of. And so finally, the day came, and we flew to the DR. Of course, we flew, because I don't think we're going to swim there, but we flew there. Something I just thought about. But we finally got there. And we went up to the camp, which was high up in the mountains in the DR. And it was a beautiful area. On one side is this beautiful mountain stream, very wide and absolutely gorgeous. On the other side of the camp is a village with I don't know how many people, but quite a few people living in this village. And so right in the middle is this camp. And this camp has the dormitories for the kids to stay, us to stay, the caregivers' home. They had a cafeteria. They had everything that's like a camp, right? And they also had these big fence. I remember it's just really tall fence around the entire camp because, well, you just have to have them because unfortunately things will get taken if you're not careful. And so the gates are there, and as we drove up, they would open the gates for us, and as soon as you're done, they would close the gates right behind us. And so once we got there, the kids were excited. And they started getting all their equipment, and people who were in charge of art was getting their center done, and those in charge of games were getting the games done, and they were checking out the territory and making sure how they can play, and like you get normally ready for a camp. Well, while we were getting ready for the camp that was coming in 2 days, every time we took a break, one of the things that we noticed right away were the kids from the village looking through the fence. Every single day, there were all of these cute little faces as they would sit there for hours at a time just watching us and waving. And so we would come and we began to talk with them. We'd give them candy sometimes. We got to know who they were. We'd have everybody who was bilingual to kind of help with the language issue, and got to know names and stories, and we told who we were. And every day we would go back out, the kids would already be at the fence, and once they got to know the names, oh, Keith, they would yell for you. And again, we would go over, and we started to build this rapport. Well, the camp started, and the first camp came through, and the kids had a great time. We did all the art projects and all of that. The second camp comes through, wonderful time again. The kids did a great job. But then the third camp came, and I knew right away something was going to be wrong. The diocese bus came up, the kids get off, and they all looked like seniors in high school. I swear to this day, some of them were part of the National Guard. These kids were huge. Some of them were bigger than I was, and I'm going, wait a minute, we're going to do pottery with these kids, or we're going to play this game. I don't know if this is going to happen. But not only were they big, well, we found out they were from the privileged families of the DR. And if you've ever known anything about Latin America or lived like I have, you'll find out that there's 2 classes, the extremely wealthy and the extreme poor. There's really hardly anything in between. And those who have privilege have no problem pushing that privilege on anybody else that they think are lower than them, which, by the way, is everybody. And so when they got in there, they, we told them, this is where you're going to sleep. No, it's not. We're going to be sleeping over there. This is when we're going to eat. No, we want to eat at this certain time. Here are some of the things we're going to be doing tomorrow. No, we don't like that. Why don't y'all just go away? We're going to talk. And immediately we saw this going south very quickly. Well, finally, it ended up being a fight between the kids from the DR, the wealthy, and a couple of the poor kids over there. And it became a nasty fight. And enough that we had to end up calling their bishop and our bishop. And we made the decision, these kids need to go home. And that's what they did. They got back on the bus and they left. Well, my kids were very upset. They had worked so hard, they were waiting for this third camp, and now what do we do? So the adult group got together, and we decided to come up with 3 options for the kids. Again, remember, they're the leaders. We're going to let them make the decision. Option A, we can go to the beach. We were going to go to the beach for 3 days anyway, but we'll just extend that beach trip, and we can all go and enjoy ourselves. Option 2 is we can stay at the camp since the food's already here, and we can go to the river every day, and y'all can play and have games and relax for a week before we have to go home. But the great idea we had was option 3. Came to them and said, what do you think if we opened the gates to those children that have been watching us all of this time through the fence? And without a breath being taken, the kids said, option 3, well, let's do it. So the next morning, we opened up the gates, and there were already some kids early in the morning sitting at the fence waiting for us to come out. And all of a sudden, we're like, aki, aki, and we're telling them, you can come to the camp for the whole week. And you should see their face. It had never happened. They were like, are you in there? And it's like, yes, come on. And they started to follow us, and we went through the village, calling out to the kids who were outside and telling their parents what was going on, that we have a camp for an entire week and your child is invited. And the parents, of course, were just so happy. You saw the excitement just build in this village. And as I was coming back to the camp with some of my leaders behind me, I'm heading towards the gate. It'll be a picture I will never forget. I had my little stick, my walking stick with me, and I turned around, and all I could see was this long line of smiling faces. It was one time I truly felt like a shepherd with sheep that had no shepherd. They were so excited, and they came into the camp, and you should have seen them looking. You would have thought it was like full of gold. They were looking around at everything, and remember, these are kids who saw the camp every single day of their life, but never from that side. And so we ended up having this camp. And it went so well. We had art, we had crafts, we had games, they got to eat well. We just had a blast. Matter of fact, I still have a picture in my office of some of these kids. It was an excellent, excellent time. But most of all, what had happened is that we opened those gates. We opened the doors to these children. And in turn, we opened up our hearts. And we opened up our lives. And on the flip side, so did they. And I think we benefited more, to be more honest with you. But the one thing those kids knew, what we knew as leaders, is what was going on was godly. It was truly godly what was happening, for the crowd was there and compassion was given, and we had the best time of our life. I remember this particular story as I was reading the gospel this week, trying to think of what was I going to say. But some of the imagery reminded me of this particular story. Jesus, it says, is working hard. He's working very hard. You can imagine, they say he's teaching in their synagogues. He's trying to proclaim the good news to them. And not only that, he's trying to cure every disease and every sickness. Can you imagine going to one person at a time? And let me tell you, in Jesus' time, people hear somebody can cure you. They're coming from all over. So you can imagine how the people were packing around him. But like us, how we were at the camp, it says that Jesus, in his busyness, saw the crowd and had compassion on them, because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Finally, Jesus announces to them, whether he's been waiting for the right moment, I don't know. But he finally announces he needs help, because there are so many people and only one of him. He also knows that one day He's going to ascend. Soon He would send the Holy Spirit. And well, the disciples are going to need to be trained, so why not now? Why He's there to supervise. And so He calls on them because He knows the disciples are going to be the very first of a long line of people to be the hands and feet of Christ. Just a side note in this, that Jesus is talking about Israel because this is where He's going to start. Some people get upset, why did He pass up the Samaritans? Why the Gentiles? But Jesus had to start somewhere. Jesus started His camp because He says that the Israelites are the ones who are lost, and they need this shepherd. On the flip side of this, all biblical scholars believe that Matthew is talking to his community. He's taken the story of Jesus and he wants the people to know how important it is that the harvest is full and Jesus needs help. In other words, His people also need to be the hands and feet of Christ. And is the harvest full? Is it full? Yes, it is full for Jesus' time and Matthew. So many people out there who are hurting. So many people out there who are seeking. People who are seeking God. People who are seeking a deeper meaning in life. People who are seeking forgiveness. People who are seeking to be healed. People who are looking for something to stop the pain, as well as, most of all, people who seek to be loved. So Jesus is going to send His disciples with authority, as He tells them, I'm sending you with authority. And of course, Matthew's people hear the same. They're going out with Jesus' authority. And as Matthew writes, they are to travel light. This is before an established church. This is a time when people would be mending nets and doing their livelihood, and while they're doing it, talking to people about Jesus. They would be out fishing, and they would be telling their fishing buddies about Jesus. Maybe they're out in the field, and they would start to talk about Jesus. And what Jesus is teaching them to do is to rely on God. They need to rely on people who give to God. They need to move quickly and not let earthly things bog them down. They need to bring people to Christ. They need to help the poor, cure the sick, cast out demons, raise the dead, and cleanse the lepers. And I thought I'd have a long week coming up. Imagine doing all that. Jesus is sending them out into the area of Israel to begin their ministry. Why? Because like all the kids' faces at the fence, Jesus is telling them, my fence is full of faces. The harvest is full. I need your help. And ladies, you know how hard it is for us guys to ask for help. That's a Father's Day joke. But Jesus is being serious. He's being very serious. So what about us? Who is looking through our fence? Have you ever thought about it? Who is looking through and looking at us each and every day? There have been times when I've taken a break that I'll take a walk here in the church as I'm praying. And several times I've gone to that window or the doors, looking at the cars going back and forth. And I think, how many people drive by this church and say, someday I need to go there. Someday I need to pray there. Someday I need to go and have companionship there. Someday I need to be close to God. The truth is, it happens every single day. And even some of you sitting here today know what I'm talking about. It happened to you. People do look in our fence. Who is looking for through our fence? Everybody. Lots of people. The truth is, Jesus would tell you that the harvest is full, or in other words, people are looking through our fence, and that He needs you. Jesus is calling for three things. First, He saw the crowd. You see, Jesus also wants us to look at the people around us. Not just look at them, but know them. He wants us to pay attention to people in our community, our neighbors, maybe even people in our own household. He wants us to know them. People who are seeking God, people who are seeking are people that are poor, those who are hurting. What Jesus already knows, and it's very true. when you really see the needs of people, when you get to know the people, and when you get to know the person's story, most likely you will want to help them. Jesus would tell you that you can't see the crowd until you've interacted with the people who make up those crowds. The second thing Jesus wants to teach us is he had compassion. He had compassion for the people he saw. He not only saw their needs, he felt their needs. You see, it's one thing to see the needs. It's quite another thing to have heart of compassion and help them with their needs. Look at the great example that Jesus gives us, the Samaritan. The first two people saw the body in the road and maybe felt sorry for them. But it's the third one who had compassion and actually did something about it. In other words, put his faith into action. The third thing that Jesus commands us to do is like the demand of his disciples. He calls us to help. He calls us to pray. He calls on us to be part of what he is doing, following God's plan and not our own. You see, Jesus would tell you the harvest was bigger than the number of disciples that he had during Jesus' day. I bet you Matthew would tell you that the demand was larger than his disciples in Matthew's day. And I'm here to tell you that the harvest is bigger than all of us here at Holy Trinity in our own day. But rest assured, like the time of the disciples, like the time of Matthew, and even today, Jesus reminds us that that he will be with us as we go into our community to work. In other words, no matter how big it is, no matter how many people there are, Jesus will be with you, and you're never alone. Many years ago, my group watched so many children, watched them through a fence. We talked with them, we laughed with them, we gave them candy, we exchanged stories. But what mattered the most, what meant the most to these children, is the day we opened the gate and let them in. That was the difference. Like Christ, will you open your hearts? Will you open the door of your life? Will you open the door of your church? So that those who are seeking God can come and pray. Jesus will tell you today, his harvest is full. What are you prepared